What is a company secret you can share now since you don't work there anymore? Health insurance, dude. When you file a claim, it is often denied because they're counting on you not escalating it. Once you do, your case goes to a medical management group, which should be called the We Don't Want to Pay group. Keep escalating and involve your doctor. Fight for the insurance you paid for. I worked part-time at a Domino's franchise in college. The owner was, at first glance, a short-tempered, critical penny pincher who did everything he could to save the business money, right down to watching over your shoulder to make sure you didn't put too much cheese on a pizza. But after working for him for a while, you realized why he was so specific about the margins. Twice yearly, he would send out generous bonuses in the form of money orders made out to his employees from his own personal savings account to the college students working for him. The money orders contained the memo line "Keep learning." The amount of money orders would be directly correlated to the profit margins of the stores he owned. The dude did legit profit sharing. After I graduated, I heard a rumor that he was trying to start up a small education grant trust that would benefit applicants of the Farmer School of Business at Miami University, but I don't think anything ever came of it. This owner also played favorites when hiring. Every single one of his managers was a former employee. 3 of the 4 managers at his stores when I worked there had graduated from my college with business degrees. All 4 of them had a small portion of their education paid for by Marvin Covington. I used to work in college admissions. Rich donors, athletes, and other VIPs have lower admission criteria. They still have minimums, but they're super easy to reach, even for a selective university. I worked at a comic book store that offered a service where you paid a small premium to have sent in rare comics to have them graded at CGC. A few months later, we had many customers coming in to check the status of their comics. We contacted the owner to see what was going on, and he would always claim that there was some distribution problem. Fast forward a few months, we found out he was taking customers' graded copies and selling them online while trying to return issue versions of their original comics. I worked for a major hotel chain in housekeeping for over 10 years. The number of people deleting themselves and people who die naturally in their rooms is a lot higher than you'd think. I worked at a huge convention hotel with over 1,000 rooms, and it happened quite often. Unless it was a gnarly mess, it would just get cleaned like normal and the next guest had no idea. Diet Sprite and Sprite Zero were the exact same thing. They didn't change the recipe one bit. They just changed the name and design. 1 gallon of milk, 1 full bottle of Monin vanilla syrup, and 0.6 of a pound of espresso brewed. Now freeze it. Boom. Joe Muggs frozen cappuccino. I worked at Olive Garden in the mid-90s while I was in college. Back then, they had the all-you-can-eat soup, salad, and breadsticks lunch special for like $4.25 plus tax. Working the lunch shift sucked. You would get probably 2 or 3 tables, and there was a 99% chance that all your tables were 2 ladies getting this lunch special with water during their lunch break. After about a year, several of our best servers were mysteriously fired. It turns out, they were running a scam where they used the same receipt repeatedly when these ladies paid for their meal with cash. Since we could get those 3 items ourselves from the back without ringing them into the system, these servers were just pocketing the cash for the entire meal. So instead of making like $5 to $8 in tips during a lunch shift like the rest of us dumb schmucks, they would make an extra $20 or so by stealing from the company. If you were on live chat with customer care, I could see what you were typing before pressing send. I watched people work through grotesque, racist, sexist statements, fraudulent lies and mistruths, meticulous grammar fixes, and their whole range of emotions in real time before deleting and typing OK. The vehicle modification shop at Chillicothe Correctional Institution in Chillicothe, Ohio dumps waste coolant from the machine shop into a storm drain that empties directly into the Scioto River, because the chemical disposal tank is a 55-gallon drum in the paint shop, and that's much too small. They can't throw me into solitary confinement for complaining anymore. This happens about once a year when the machine's coolant reservoirs are emptied, and the coolant is replaced. It's not on a schedule, it's one of those things that you do when work is slow. Each machine holds 15 to 20 gallons, and usually, you just add more as it evaporates. But eventually, it gets nasty and needs to be replaced. It's supposed to go in a waste tote to be disposed of safely, which is what every non-government machine shop does.
Nope.
Being able to prove this is being done would require knowing when they're going to do this, And that's a decision that's often made on the spur of the moment. Hey, work is slow, let's have a cleanup day. There aren't any phones in the machine shop, either. T-Mobile has two coverage maps. The one they show customers and the real one that is internal shows the actual coverage. Diminishes by about 50%. Their coverage is built on a bed of lies. Bruh. At a local deli I worked at, everyone raved about how good their mac and cheese was. It always sold really quickly when I worked in the deli. It's even labeled on the menu as store's famous mac and cheese. It's literally just Kraft, we didn't even add anything to it. Bruh. Ford parts from Mexico are way more reliable than Ford parts from Detroit. I worked in Detroit, and we had some customers who were fussy about us always doing repairs with Michigan parts, but when we had a problem that wouldn't stay fixed, we would always secretly switch to the Mexican parts which did solve things. I was a prison guard a decade ago and we installed some facial tracking software in the surveillance cameras. One of the inmates panicked while cleaning the unused solitary confinement cells, which is usually a desirable job, as it's easy and nobody pays attention to you, and he insisted that he be moved out of that job because there was a ghost. The ranking officers decided to check the new cameras, and the security software claimed it saw a face behind the inmate at the same time as he was visibly startled in the camera footage. We're all aware there are mundane reasons why a new facial recognition system would think it saw a ghost, but since the inmate and the security software both thought there was a ghost, it was decided that the inmate should be immediately transferred at no penalty. Worked at an American Toyota dealership in the body shop for 12 years. We would throw away literally everything regardless of the environmental impact. Car paint, which is nasty by the way, all went straight to the dumpster. Radiator fluid went down the drain. I even saw someone put oil down the drain a couple of times even though we had barrels for it up in the service department. Bruh. The only thing we saved was old car parts which the boss then sold to scrapyards and pocketed the money. The painter didn't ever wear a mask either. He is around 60 and still kicking despite 30 years of painting without a mask somehow. I'll say it. A place similar in name to Past Face Urgent Care banned their front desk from informing customers that they have a credit balance to use toward their services and still required us to charge customers the full price on top of what we already owed them. Some accounts had like $500 of copay that should have been refunded but weren't. Bruh. I was reprimanded for applying the credit balance because despite finance agreeing my method was correct, the regional manager said it was not a good look for the company and hindered her profits. I used to work surveillance at a casino. From something like 3 stories high ceiling, we could zoom in on money on the table games and read the serial numbers of the bills. We could see the pips on the dice. The policy was to not look down on women's blouses. All new clothing and everything you try on is dirty. I've worked in retail for years and it still shocks people, but there's no washing machine or disinfectant spray or wipes. Nothing. I've opened boxes of new clothes that had white bugs coming out of them. Bruh. Seen women after a workout class come and try clothes on then just leave still sweaty from the class. One older lady left huge skin flakes on the clothes she tried on. Not to mention whatever happens when they return the item or what happened in the factory. People are gross, nothing is clean, and always wash your clothes when you get them home. Home Depot. Most security cameras are fake. Easy to steal and most stores have no security and loss prevention. Bruh. Buy the clearance items that end in 3 cents. After that, the next step of the markdown process is the dumpster. Dial 676 on any desk phone to the live page on the overhead speakers. Fun to mess with that. Buy the products in front, it's newer. The old product gets pushed behind continuously. If you see a reduced tag, ask someone to scan for the price. Most times they're not updated and will be cheaper than the tag says. Free bottles of water for customers behind the customer service desk. In the United States, one company's bread and butter were simply reboxing and relabeling computer monitors from China to make it seem like they were from the company and made in some way by them. Your warranty service part that took 8 months actually arrived 3 weeks after they paid the invoice. Bruh. They didn't even order it for 7 months. They told you it was manufacturing delays and supply chain issues, but they couldn't afford to pay their bills and had to pick and choose which orders to place. You weren't a priority. They were just really bad at budgeting and damage control. Hotels do not typically have security, maintenance, or housekeeping for staff 24 hours a day. Once housekeeping finishes cleaning all the rooms, the entire staff leaves except for one front desk employee. Thank you for watching. Be sure to leave a like and check out our other videos.